Hey book nerds, welcome to my channel. So it is my favourite time of year, Halloween, and it's my favourite time of my Halloween videos, which is to do my Halloween Snakes and Ladders TBR. So as per usual, I'm going to go all out. I'm not dressed all spooky because I don't have any of my creepy, like my point horror t-shirt or anything like that. I don't have any of it with me, which is very sad. But I have completely redone all of the cards for the Snakes and Ladders TBR. So I'll link the previous videos down below if you don't know what I'm talking about, but basically it's a TBR game. I'm going to randomly pick some books for me to read in October. This October I am hoping to take, I am going to take part in Horrorathon, which is being run by She's Such a Lauren, which I'll link down below, and also the Goosebumpsathon, which is run by Spooky Hall. So I will link both of the Twitters and the announcement videos and all that down below. So I'm really hoping for some prompts that will help with that. I'm also going to do my standard thing I did last year where I roll 13 times. So that's minimum 13 books. It's probably going to be a lot more. I will be picking a fair amount of like Goosebumps books and other shorter books because there's so much stuff I want to read in Halloween, in October. Not just Halloween, October's a month. But like, I love doing these rolls and I really want to get as many prompts as possible. So I'm very quickly going to tell you what the new categories are. So yellow is now kind of sort of tropes. Yeah, I mean it's tropes. It's things like groups of people, fairground, ghosts, camping. It's kind of features of horror is how I describe that. Green is random as always, but I have switched them up. So there's a lot of Halloween colours. There's like orange on the cover, black on the cover. There's specific ways to randomly pick a horror book, all kinds of stuff. That's not really changed apart from it's made a bit more spooky. Blue, which is normally challenges, is now a mixture of specific book titles that I want to read, and also kind of like authors, just kind of lowest rated horror, highest rated horror, queer, POC rep. It's a whole bunch of kind of random stuff that's sort of challenges but also not. And then we have orange, which is still things in the title, which is its normal thing, but now they're all spooky things in the title. And then finally we have pink, which is similar to yellow in that it's sort of tropes, but this is more subgenres of horror. So we have like stuff like ghost story, monster story. We also have stuff like anthologies and point horror and Goosebumps and that kind of thing. So there's a whole mix of stuff, but those are the new categories. And I've rambled on long enough, so let's start rolling. 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have pink and we have point horror. Here we have a fantastic prompt because I was hoping to read at least one point horror book this October, and I've gone with Trick or Treat by Richie, Tankersley, Cusick. I should really learn to say that name. I picked this specifically because it's Halloweeny. It's about a girl who senses there's like something evil about her house. She feels like someone's following her, and then like a bunch of creepy practical jokes start. Pretty classic point horror stuff. This is also being covered by the Point Horror podcast. I think it's called Don't Point That Horror at Me. I'll link them down below on Twitter. I've not actually listened to one of their podcasts yet because they keep doing books that I've not read recently, but I'm definitely going to give it a listen this time because it's perfect timing for me to read this. 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Pink again. We have anthology. So the next prompt was anthology, which fits well with my goals, and I have decided to pick the CreepyPasta collection, allegedly by Mr. CreepyPasta. This is one of the top 5 books I wanted to read this year in terms of horror, and this is the potential to be either fantastic or really, really bad. It's basically an anthology of like modern urban legends from the internet, like creepypastas, and I have no idea what to expect. I thought it sounded really cool and I added it to my TBR, and the more I think about it, the more I think this could really go wrong. But I'm kind of excited and I definitely wanted to give it a try, so it's good that it came up in this Snakes and Ladders game. 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, a dark blue, and we have Here There Be Monsters. So the next prompt was a specific book, and that was Here There Are Monsters by Amelinda Berube. So this was one of the book 2019 releases I wanted to read in 2020. This is about a girl, I don't know if it's more horror or dark fantasy, but it's about a girl who moves to a new house with her sister, and then her sister starts building like weird things in the forest. So like creepy effigies made out of sticks and bones and that kind of thing. And then her sister vanishes, and she gets disturbed in the middle of the night by something knocking on her window, telling her she's the only one who can save her sister. I think this sounds fantastic. It sounds like it has the potential to be super creepy, which is exactly what I want this time of year. And even if it tends to be more of the fantasy thing, it certainly seems to have a lot of creepy imagery, and I'm sure it's going to be an interesting read. Pop now. 2, 1, 2, yellow. Urban Legend. So the next prompt was Urban Legend, and I already used my CreepyPasta book. However, I definitely have more than one Urban Legend horror on my TBR, so I've gone with Light as a Feather by Zoe Aarsen. This is about, this is apparently quite a famous game. I don't know if it's just an American thing, I'd never heard of it. But it's about like these group of teenagers who play a game called like Light as a Feather, Stiff as a Board, which is some kind of ghost game. I don't really know what it is because I've never played it or heard of it outside the context of books like this. But essentially one of them starts predicting the deaths of the other classmates, I think during the game, and then they start dying in that way, and I think that sounds really creepy. It's got mixed reviews, and young adult horror tends to get bad reviews, and I tend to love it anyway, so I've got high hopes for this. It also says it's a TV series, so I might even check out the TV series if I love it that much, or if I think it's just going to be a good Halloween time. But yeah, this sounds a lot of fun. 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, hitting that snake for a double. So first we have pink, and we have TV film adaptation. And we slide down Mr. Snake to pink again, and we have monster. So the next prompt is TV/film adaptation, which means we're getting our first Goosebumps book on the list. And I picked One Day at Horrorland. If you watched my recent Goosebumps video, you know this is my favourite Goosebumps book of all time. And I also think the TV show is really, really great. So I am gonna read this. It's super short because obviously it's a Goosebumps book, and then watch the TV show. It's basically about a family who gets stranded by the side of the road, ends up at a killer theme park run by monsters, and it's fantastic, it's amazing, it's a whole lot of fun, it's really weird, and I'm very excited to get around to reading this for part of Goosebumpsathon. And because that was a snake and I got another prompt which was monster, I've decided to make it a double Goosebumps feature, and we have Egg Monsters from Mars. This sadly isn't an episode, but again it was on my Goosebumps video. Basically a kid accidentally hatches an egg monster from Mars and weird stuff starts happening. I really enjoyed this one, it's a whole lot of fun. And yeah, again I'll be reading this as part of Goosebumpsathon. 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, hitting that green. First horror on Instagram. Okay, so I've still not quite worked out how to use Instagram, but I'm on the Bookstagram hashtag, I think that's how it works, and I'm looking for the first horror that's on my TBR. Wasn't really having any luck with that hashtag, so I've swapped to like a book stack, and hopefully I'll find something. Okay, we have it, here we go, finally. This one here is a really nice edition, I say nice because it's orange and I like that colour, of The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson. So there we go. I'm sorry if that was painful for you to watch. I don't know how to use Instagram clearly. It took me so long to find a horror book on Instagram that was on my TBR, but I found, as you saw, The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson, and I'm actually really glad this was the one that came up. A, because I was going to read it last year and didn't get around to it, and B, because it's super short, which means I can watch this one, I can read this one, and it's not another hefty book to add to my list. So yeah, I'm happy this came up. I've been meaning to watch the TV show for ages as well, so I might actually watch that in October because I have a friend who's really into it and keeps yelling at me to watch it. But I do want to read the book first, so at least hopefully I'll finally get this off my TBR. 2, 1, 2, another pink. Red Eye. So the next prompt was Red Eye, which again is good because I really wanted to get around to reading a Red Eye book in October. And I picked Whiteout. I picked this one specifically because it's gotten a lot colder here, at least where I am. I've had to have the heating on, I've been huddling under my blanket, and this is about a bunch of people a bunch of teenagers who get stranded on a ski resort mountain, like in the snow, and their tour guide starts telling really weird stories. It's got like a little quote on the back which says, "She sat us all down and told us a story about things that lived in the woods, things that only came out at night." These look really hefty, but the font is huge in them, and I get through them really quickly. I think the last one I read in like the space of 2 hours or something. So again, this will be a really nice quick read and seasonally appropriate. Another 2. 1, 2, hitting me up some orange. Dark in the title. So the prompt was book with the word dark in the title, and I have selected Home Before Dark by Riley Sager. I really love this cover. I'm very excited to read this. I still haven't read Lock Every Door actually, but this is spookier and has dark in the title, so I'm picking this one. This is about a woman who lived in a house when she was younger, which was like the subject of a ghost book. Her family fled the house in the middle of the night and then released this book, and it became really popular. She's an adult woman now, and her dad has just died, and she's inherited the house, and she doesn't believe in ghosts, so she's going back to the house. And there's kind of like all these people around, like people who are obsessed with the book / and maybe it's a documentary as well, I'm not quite sure. All these people who are obsessed with the house, and she's just kind of wants to go live in it and prove that ghosts don't exist. And I'm really particularly excited for this one because it sounds like it's got a similar tone to Final Girl. Like I can see a lot of parallels with the main character, and that something happened to her in the past and now it's the present, and there's people like media in her life. But yeah, I'm very excited to get around to this. It might be more of a thriller, but it seems to have a strong horror vibe, and Riley Sager usually crosses the line between those two genres anyway, so this will be a lot of fun, I hope. 4, 1, 2, 3, cycle back down to 4, yellow, Killer Animals. This prompt was Killer Animals, and this is kindly given to me from someone on Twitter, so thank you for that. I don't actually have many books about killer animals on my TBR, so of course I'm going to rely on Goosebumps to fulfill this prompt, and I picked The Beast from the East. This is about a girl called Ginger, and she's with her 2 twin brothers, and they go into this forest either by their new house or just like some random forest, and the forest starts getting weird, like it goes all kind of, if you can see the art, that's basically how it's described in the book. And then they encounter these creatures, and these creatures are like, we're going to eat you unless you win this game, and they start playing this weird game in the forest that has all these rules. It's really cool. I've not read this one for ages, and I really want to reread it, so I'm very excited to get around to that. 3, 1, 2, 3, orange, house in the title. So the next prompt was to pick a book with house in the title, and I have gone for Nightingale House by Steve Frech. So I actually got this as an ARC last year and did not read it, which is quite bad of me. This seems to be basically, I don't want to say a pretty standard haunted house story, but that's kind of what it sounds like from the blurb, which is fine because I love haunted house stories. It gives me strong Shining vibes. It kind of implies the husband of the family is going a bit crazy, and he's the one who's kind of uncovering the past of the house. Yeah, I should definitely get around to reading this now because it's been a year since I was given this arc, and it just sounds really cool, so hopefully I will love it. 2, 1, 2, some lovely green. We have First Horror on Twitter. Okay, so I'm on Twitter and I am looking for specifically the first horror book on my TBR. Okay, it took way longer than I thought, but finally I found a book in this lovely display from this shop, Barnes & Noble apparently. Lovely Halloween display. And okay, so this is another one that's out of my control, but I'm so happy that this book came up because I literally just bought it, and it is Harrow Lake by Kat Ellis. First of all, I hate yellow, but I really love this cover. It's super creepy. This was on my most anticipated list, so I already talked about the plot fairly recently, but in case you haven't seen that, it's basically about a girl whose dad basically made this really famous horror film, or a whole bunch of famous horror films, and then there's some kind of accident, I think, and she ends up being sent to live with her aunt, who lives where her father's famous horror film was filmed, and then weird stuff starts happening. It sounds so fantastic. It's got a lot of stuff that I find really exciting, a lot of meta horror things, and I really hope that this lives up to the hype, because not gonna lie, this is maybe the one I'm most excited to read, and I don't want it to let me down. 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have a letter. First we have a number in the title. Then we go up this ladder, green, and we have red on the cover. So I thought I was going to get away without getting another double, but here we are. The first prompt was number in the title, and I've picked 13 Stories by Jonathan Sims. Yes, so I'm super hyped because I got this as an ARC and I was not expecting to be approved for this. This comes out in November, I think around the 10th. And this was on my most anticipated list, so I'm very happy that I got the excuse to read this. This is about a billionaire who holds a dinner party and a bunch of guests show up, and none of them seem to have any connection to each other, none of them knows why they are there. By the end of the night, the billionaire is dead, and that's kind of the basic setup for the story. It sounds really cool. I love this whole cover. It's got some really great early reviews. I'm very excited to read this one as well. Like this and Harrow Lake, my hype is up there. And then the next prompt was book with red on the cover. Now this was really hard for me to narrow down, but I picked another ARC because I haven't got many ARCs on this list so far, and I can't really neglect my ARCs in October as much as I want to. So I picked Dead End Drive by Ian Kirkpatrick. So this is about a family who go somewhere. I don't know if it's an old house or an island, I can't quite remember the location, but essentially someone in the family has died and they go for the reading of the will, and then the reading of the will is essentially, if you want my fortune, you must fight to the death for it. And I think it's a really interesting premise. It's kind of blends mystery with like horror, and again, this has gotten some really great reviews. This comes out in October, I think, this one. I can't remember the exact date, but I'll put it in the description down below. But yeah, this sounds like it might be a really good, interesting slasher to kind of break up the other stuff I'm reading. 3, 1, 2, 3, hitting the snake again. So we have 2 pinks. First pink is Goosebumps, which is perfect. And we go down the snake and get Ghost. So the board has been incredibly nice to me, so I don't feel like I can complain about this, but I just got another double, as you saw. So I can't get away with anything, clearly. However, the first prompt was Goosebumps, which is fine. I still need a final book for Goosebumpsathon, and Goosebumps books are really short. I've actually picked Scary Birthday to You, which is a choose your own adventure Goosebumps book. I think what I'm going to do for this is, because my YouTube birthday is the 26th of October, I think I'm actually going to try to read this on camera, maybe have a drink or so, and just like, hopefully that'll be a fun video. If I don't upload it, clearly it didn't work and it was garbage, but that is my current plan for reading this book. So there's that. And then the other final prompt was a ghost story. So I've already had a couple of ghosty things on this TBR, but there's always room for one more, and I've picked The Haunting of Henderson Close by Catherine Cavendish. So this is about someone who's working on a ghost walk, and then like a ghost walk tour, who gives the tours, and then something happens with like real ghosts. I can't quite remember the plot of this, but it's been one of my most anticipated books to read this year, released from 2019. And it's nice and short as well. I think this one's only around about 250 pages or so, so that will like the board tried to mess me up, but I have short books, so it's all good. But yeah, so that's the end of my Halloween TBR. I'm sad there's a lot of prompts I wanted to come up that didn't, but at the same time, this was actually, like I said, the board was really nice to me. Like Twitter was really nice to me, Instagram was really nice to me. I'm feeling good about this TBR. It's a lot of books, but the Goosebumps ones help pad it out. There's like some kids ones in there, and it's a lot of stuff I'm really excited to read, which doesn't always happen. So I am genuinely very happy with how this turned out. Let's see if I still feel that way at the end of the year. But yeah, thank you so much for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give me a thumbs up, it helps me out massively. Let me know what you're planning on reading in October. If you want to bloody read any of these, I'm always down. Take part in Horrorathon and Goosebumpsathon if you want. They're both fantastic readathons, and I want people to join in with them. And also look out for a whole bunch of spooky horror themed videos this month, because I am hyped. I have so many planned. It's not going to be like last year. I'm actually going to film them this year. So yeah, thank you for watching, and I hope to see you next time.